I'm your host, BrightLearn, and today we have a truly fascinating conversation to unpack. Recently, I had the privilege of listening to an incredible interview featuring Maxime Bernier, the leader of the People's Party of Canada. And let me tell you, it was a whirlwind of ideas, passion, and a vision for a Canada that many of us might not recognize, but perhaps should. Now, if you're not familiar with Maxime Bernier, he's a man on a mission. As the leader of the People's Party of Canada, he's advocating for a radical shift in Canadian politics, a shift towards freedom, free markets, and a society that prioritizes the well-being of its citizens over the whims of globalist agendas. And with recent changes in Canada's leadership, Bernier's message is resonating more than ever. So let's dive right in. The interview kicked off with a bang, addressing the elephant in the room: the departure of Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. Now, whether you loved him or loathed him, Trudeau's tenure was marked by controversy and division. Bernier sees this as a pivotal moment for Canada, a chance to break away from what he calls the craziness of the past few years. He believes that Canadians are ready for a change, a sentiment that echoes the populist movements we've seen in the US, Europe, and the UK. But what does this change look like? For Bernier, it's about embracing common-sense policies and a free market revolution. He advocates for reducing taxes, especially the capital gains tax, to foster a more competitive environment. He also calls for deregulation and smaller government, believing that these measures will enhance productivity and economic growth. It's a bold vision, one that challenges the status quo and promises to shake up the Canadian political landscape. Now let's talk about trade. The relationship between the US and Canada is complex, to say the least. Bernier acknowledges the tensions, particularly with the Trump administration, but he sees an opportunity for a fresh start. He criticizes Canada's decision to impose counter-tariffs on US goods, arguing that it hurt Canadian consumers and businesses. Instead, he proposes reopening the free trade agreement with the US and Mexico, advocating for a more reciprocal approach to tariffs. And speaking of borders, Bernier doesn't shy away from the contentious issue of immigration. He calls for a moratorium on immigration, citing concerns about national security and the strain on Canadian resources. He believes that a pause on immigration will allow Canada to better manage its borders and ensure that those who do come are properly integrated into Canadian society. It's a stance that aligns with his party's commitment to preserving Canadian culture and values. But Bernier's vision extends beyond borders and trade. He's a strong proponent of robust energy infrastructure, advocating for the development of pipelines to transport Canadian oil and gas to both domestic and international markets. He criticizes the Liberal Party's reluctance to embrace these projects, arguing that it stifles economic growth and hinders Canada's potential as a global energy leader. Bernier believes that by investing in energy, Canada can not only boost its economy, but also play a crucial role in the global transition to cleaner energy sources. And then there's the issue of independence movements within Canada. Bernier acknowledges the growing discontent in provinces like Quebec and Alberta, fueled by economic frustrations and a sense of alienation from the federal government. He calls for a radical decentralization of power, giving provinces more autonomy and ensuring that the federal government respects their jurisdictions. It's a plea for unity, but one that demands a fundamental restructuring of Canada's political system. Bernier also touched on the global stage, criticizing Canada's involvement in international organizations like the UN and the World Health Organization. He believes that these institutions often undermine Canadian sovereignty and push agendas that are not in the best interest of Canadians. Instead, He advocates for a more independent stance, one that prioritizes Canadian interests and values. As the interview wrapped up, Bernier emphasized the importance of grassroots support and the role of social media in spreading his message. He acknowledged the challenges of breaking through the mainstream media's narrative, but expressed optimism about the future. With a strong team and a clear vision, Bernier is ready to take on the challenges ahead and fight for a Canada that is prosperous, free, and true to its roots. So what do you think? Is Canada ready for the Bernier Revolution? It's a question that will undoubtedly spark debate and discussion. But one thing is clear. Maxime Bernier is a force to be reckoned with, and his vision for Canada is one that deserves our attention. Thank you all for joining me today. If you want to learn more about the People's Party of Canada and its platform, visit their website at peoplespartyofcanada.ca. And don't forget to subscribe to BrightLearn for more thought-provoking conversations. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and let's make this world a better place together.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Maxime Bernier and Mike Adams on March 21, 2025. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.